Today, on a spooktacular episode of The Entrepreneur's Journey, meet Michael LeBlanc, entrepreneur, visionary, and the mind behind CCI Voice. We're diving into his entrepreneurial journey, his EOS awakening, and the eternal tug of war between work from home and the office, new tech, and old school grit. Two ADHD squirrels, one conversation, maybe three conversations, I should say. You know it's going to go everywhere and mean something. Let's get on with the show.
We're the ones who dare to dream. We won't let anyone hold us back. We'll take the road, let's travel by and build our empire piece by piece. We've got our dreams and we've got a plan. We're not afraid to take a stand. We'll face the risks and embrace the fear, cause we know that success is near. There will be times when we'll fall down, but we'll get up and turn it around. We're entrepreneurs, we're not afraid to lose. We'll keep moving forward, we got nothing to prove.
Welcome to another episode of The Entrepreneur's Journey. My name is Joseph Jaffe and I am in my session room at the moment. Can't you see I'm in my session room? This is a session room that Michael LeBlanc has been in many times, and he still keeps coming back for more for some reason. There's no accounting for bad taste. Just kidding. I'm so happy that he's actually here with me. He's going to tell you this, so I'm going to, there's nothing I can do. I have to just admit it. He was my first client, and I'm contractually obligated to tell you my best client as well. Truly, I hope none of my other clients are actually watching, because actually, even if they are, yes, he was my first client and he was my best client. He is my best client. And he's going to be on the show to talk about his entrepreneurial journey, maybe a little bit of EOS and a lot of Halloween shenanigans as well, because we are recording this on October 31st, 2025. As always, I like to share my why statement. And part of the EOS journey is we have what's called core focus. There is a why, there is a passion, a cause, and a purpose. And then there is a what we call our niche, 1 inch wide and a mile deep. And together, the why and the what inform the how. And I've been working on mine, so I'm sharing actually my latest and greatest one with you today. And I haven't shared it with anyone before. In some respects, this actually is very much connected to the base, to EOS. But my why, my passion, my cause, my purpose is run a better business so you can live a better life. And my niche, my what, is helping change entrepreneurs' lives through content, creativity, and coaching. And, I'm studying happiness, as many of you know. And so that becomes the better life idea. And then, of course, running a better business is something that I've been able to do through EOS. I've also come up with one quote and a quotable, a little snackable that I like to share with all of you. Just something that's on my mind, something that's always connected in many respects to my guest. And first, just a little collage of some of the previous little quotables from previous episodes. Here goes. And this is today's quote: if you can dream it, an integrator will do it. And the reason why I put this together is, first of all, for those of you that are familiar with the first part of the quote, Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. It's a quote that I've taken with me throughout my life, throughout my career. I truly believe creativity, imagination, innovation, especially today with technology, we really can accomplish anything and maybe everything. But what I've learned through my own EOS journey is that being a visionary, being a creative, being a founder, being an ideas person, if you don't have someone that anchors you, if your head is in the clouds and no one is keeping your feet on the ground, you're likely to float off into the distance, into the sky. And if you have hubris and arrogance like Icarus, ending up flying too close to the sun and crashing and burning. On the flip side, without some kind of an anchor or foundation, there isn't the grounding. And I think certainly we'll ask Michael what he thinks about this as well. But when we start to think about partnership, whether it's a partnership in life, our life partner, whether it's a partnership in the office, these partnerships mean everything and amount to everything. Of course, the other thing that you noticed in some of those quotes are quotes about imposter syndrome and about self-esteem. And we're going to talk about that as well. But now, without further ado, let me introduce my very, very special guest, my client, my first client, and of course, my best client. And thanks to AI, Michael, here is your bio intro, because you didn't send it to me in the form, but fear not, AI came to the rescue. Let's see how accurate it was. Michael LeBlanc is the visionary founder and CEO of CCI Voice, based in Redding, Connecticut, with a background as a CPA and early IT consultant. He launched LeBlanc Communications Group in 1993, later evolving it into CCI Voice, a telecom provider with the ambition to be the #1 most loved and respected telecom provider in the Northeast. That sounds very familiar. Meticulous about marrying voice and data, Michael steered the company into becoming its own carrier and adapting rapidly for hybrid work and cloud communications. Off the clock, he lives in Redding with his wife Lisa and 4 adult children, and enjoys skiing, golf, and tinkering. Michael, welcome to the show. What do you think?
You are nothing if not entertaining and unpredictable, Joseph.
If not, right? I'm
Yes.
nothing. I'm nothing without you.
You're everything. But you're definitely not famous.
What did you think? That's the other show. What did you think about that AI intro?
It's very nice. Thank you, AI, for knowing who I am. I do talk to AI once in a while. By the way, we're in Bethel as our headquarters, as you know. It's a wonderful new look.
I know, but I went with whatever AI told me to go with.
It's great.
And I have to say, I really enjoyed the fact that to be the #1 most respected and loved telecom provider in the Northeast. Isn't that interesting? That's exactly what's on your VTO.
Exactly. I'm surprised that ChatGPT or which other tool you use knew that, because I thought that was a secret. We're trying to publicize it a lot, but I thought it was a secret still.
Actually, to be honest with you, I have 25 interns working for me on a shoestring budget. Who said anything about AI? So, exactly. Michael, there will be a lot of surprises, and here's another surprise. So one of the things that I've done is because this show is called The Entrepreneur's Journey, and it's based on Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, right? We're all heroes of our own journey, and truly entrepreneurs are. I always look for a superhero or a superpower to bring this person to life. And sometimes villains, I choose villains. I don't choose villains. The villains choose me. So you're kind of a villain. I mean, you're not a villain, but I couldn't resist actually depicting you as Mr. Octopus. So, because of the cabling, it was because of the cabling, right? So your 8 tentacles, etc. You're I don't know, you're a good guy, but maybe you're a bit villainous. What do you think? What do you think about this depiction of you?
That could be my new profile pic for LinkedIn.
Well, it's about to get a lot worse, let me tell you, because boy, did I have fun with AI. So we sent our reporters out into the field to find out a little bit about you, the dirt on you. And, you know, I do this because nobody really talks about our resume virtues at our funerals. They talk about our eulogy virtues, right? They talk about,
Mhm.
you know, like people don't care much you know until they know much you care.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the fun facts about you? Well, it turns, I mean, I don't even know how to depict this one, but it turns out that you delivered singing gorillograms one summer during college. I don't know. This is, you know, the only thing I can tell you is AI can't make ugly people look good looking, but they do make good looking people look even more good looking. So,
That's
you
very
know,
kind of you. Thank you.
no, it's AI. So tell us a little bit about gorillograms at college.
Well, I can tell you that when you are wearing a gorilla costume with a big bunch of balloons in your hand and you're walking around in the public, it gives you a lot of confidence that you don't otherwise have. You can walk up to that cutest girl and say, "Hey," I used to sing a song when I get to the house or the office, and it was something like, "I've heard that today is your birthday, and I'm so glad for you," and so on and so forth. So it was a lot of fun. I was talking to my wife about that the other day, and I only had a car one summer during college, and I had a bike the rest of the time, riding around Fairfield on a bike. And it would be really funny if I was on the bicycle as a gorilla with the balloons in my hand. That would have been really funny to video.
Well, I've got, if I got this correct, there we go. We have a laugh track. We 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 have applause. We have
You're so
everything
good.
for you today. Oh, by the way, and if someone swears and they say mother, we've got that too. So I've got you all taken care of.
Okay,
Um,
good.
there's an interesting theme occurring. By the way, I was going to say I'm just glad it wasn't a stripper gorillagram. That might have been a little too complicated.
Too much.
Or if there was, I hope it would have been Lisa on the other side.
There you go.
But confidence is such a common theme today. You know, you don't have to be a good coach to connect the dots in this particular case, because another really interesting kind of tidbit or learning about you is that you had a horrible stuttering problem from an early age through college when a public speaking class ultimately and singing in a church group helped solve it. So I found this very, very interesting as well. Tell us a little bit about this.
I've often wondered how it started. I think there was some kind of maybe a little bit of mini trauma in my young age, 2, 3 years old, maybe 4. But something happened that made me begin to stutter at some point. And I always talked fast, but I also would stumble over my words. And there were words I could not say very well. I was a classic stutterer, and it was into high school and then still into college. And it was really a lot of work to try to slow down and enunciate my words. And the one thing that really worked for me was singing, because there's a meter and there's a rhythm and there's a structure to it. If I'm singing something, I never have a problem. So that was one thing that I really enjoyed, was being able to keep that, not be stuttering while I was singing. But then that public speaking class was horrible, horrible. I can't ever remember a time where I faced more stress and anxiety in my life than in that class. But getting through it, it really made me realize I could face my worst demons. And then, of course, check this out. I'm in college, and I was Mr. Religious back then, I guess, and I was leading the church choir in college at Fairfield University in front of my peers at the 10 o'clock p.m. services, and doing a singing of a song before the service began, so they would know how the song went. Me by myself singing in front of everyone, and then telling them what to expect. I don't know how I got through that, but those were the times when I think I began to realize I could be a speaker in public. It was wonderful. In
You
the
know,
end.
I got to tell you, one of the most, in fact, the class that was the most influential in my life at college was a professional communications course. It was one semester, and there were a couple of things that I never ever forgot. The first is, this is back in the day, because I'm old, unlike you that have been depicted so youthfully in AI. So we had at the time, transparencies and I think we call them overhead projectors. So
Oh yeah.
so there were a couple of things, and maybe the most influential is they videotaped us. They videoed us while giving a presentation, and then they played it back, and we had to watch ourselves. And the number one thing that blew us all away was the fact that we were all so petrified and scared and nervous, but
Yes.
you never knew it. You never saw it
Wow.
unless, and this is the thing, unless there was a tell, right? If you held up the laser pointer, whatever, your hand would do this. So they
It's true.
taught us back in the day, take the pen, put it on the transparency on the overhead projector and take your hand away. And
Ah.
so that's what you learned, is that they won't smell the fear unless you tell them that.
Mm-hmm.
So, note to people out there, get in front of a mirror and just practice your core values speech or whatever the case may be. And the more you practice it, I guess the better you'll feel, the more confident you'll feel.
Sounds good.
So anyway, there you are in your church choir. I was having a lot of fun. In fact, well, you know what? We'll get back to that in a moment, because we're going to talk about the law of attraction as well. So, Michael, enough with the AI stuff. Let's dive straight in and talk about confidence. Right? You spoke about stuttering. I witnessed you speaking rather fast at the best of times, and I figure you're speaking fast because you're excited and passionate, etc. I love it. I love it when you get like really, really quick as well. But the antidote to that is slowing down. How do you slow down to speed up? How do you today regulate your own confidence? Because you said that this is it's still an issue with you. And by the way, as you saw in the quotes, the only people that don't suffer from imposter syndrome are imposters.
True. Well, I've always had a challenge with self-esteem, and maybe it's because of the ADHD. Back when I was a kid, there was no such thing as ADHD. We just were the oddballs in the classroom, and so over the years, I had to overcome that. And I've used coping skills, like drinking coffee now is my drug, not using the prescriptions. And now I realize it's a superpower. All of us that have that ADHD, like you and I share, it is a superpower, and I'm grateful for that. So just reminding myself that I'm okay has been important. And as I think I told you earlier, I think my oversized ego sometimes is part of me being a CEO, but it's also me coping with the self-esteem issues. I have to boost myself up because sometimes I don't feel like I'm good enough. Now, I'm really grateful for the successes we've had as a company, and my team is unbelievably amazing, and that's why we're successful. So eventually I'm learning that it's okay to be successful. It's okay to feel good about yourself. Hey, look at that.
Hey, where did that come from?
Speaking of my leadership team, that's a great team. Now, that is really why we have success today. As I mentioned at some point along the way, for me, EOS has been a blessing. I managed the company by the seat of my pants before EOS came along. And now we have structure, the structure I've always needed. I can slow down because the structure tells me I'm allowed to slow down, and there's no reason to go too fast. Let the structure take over, and as needed, guide you to success.
I want to come back. We'll certainly come back to EOS and we'll talk about your own journey. But I want to kind of double tap on this idea of, because I can feel it, and this is where you and I are so similar, which is you almost are expected to live in two worlds at the same time. You can see even the background we have here. It's the two different contrasts. On one hand, you've got to be humble and you've got to be self-aware and be a better leader and a better manager. On the other, you've got to blaze a trail and be confident. And by definition, leadership means no one is in front of you. It's the same concept with self-esteem and this idea that says kind of, to hell with the world, I'm going to kind of lead us to the promised land. At the same time, you got to be able to say, wait a second, what if I'm wrong? And and when I question myself once, then suddenly everything falls apart. So how do you find that balance between this idea of trusting yourself and your instincts, but at the same time, that little nagging voice says, what if I'm just, a giant imposter?
Well, I can't be an imposter, of course. Ask my wife; she'll tell you that. However, speaking of Lisa, she introduced us to a concept called the law of attraction. It's been at least 10, 12 years ago, perhaps. And it's the idea that whatever you focus on will follow you around like a cloud. If you choose to focus on the negatives, then the dark clouds will follow you. And if you focus on the things that you want and the positives in life, then those clouds have silver linings. And that's really where we've learned to focus. And it begins with gratitude, being grateful for the incredible blessings that we have as human beings, our family and our health, and the monetary things that we have. In fact, it seems like we became wealthy virtually overnight. That our money troubles went away, didn't have to worry as much. And every time I slip into worrying about what's happening next, whether it be the business or anything, money, you name it, those negative feelings start to take over. And so my confidence comes from realizing that I do have control over my destiny by focusing on the positive things that are coming. Having that vision, being a visionary, living by my title as visionary, which is another name for CEO. Founder of a company is supposed to be the visionary. Where are you going? That's the founder's job. So I do that. And when I focus on where I'm going and I picture it, I taste it, I smell it, I feel it, that is where the success comes from. If I lose track of that, that's where I get in trouble.
It was so funny because, one of the EOS, one thing that's unique to EOS is there is a role called a seat that is filled by the visionary, and then there's one called the integrator. And I remember early on in the journey, you put that on your LinkedIn, and visionary CEO, and someone was like, that's a little bit presumptuous to call yourself a visionary. And I think you took it off after a while. And I hadn't experienced it the first time, but there's something powerful in terms of manifesting yourself as a visionary, and actually stepping into that role and saying, to hell with, the trolls and the haters and whatever, I am going to vision the future. Because if you don't, who the hell is going to for your company?
Well, my favorite role that you helped us to determine on our accountability chart, otherwise known as an organizational chart, one of my favorite jobs, besides helping to establish the culture and leading my leadership team, number one is R&D. I'm a gadget freak, as many in technology can be, and I love to be in charge of finding new things that can take us into the future, the latest technology in each of our categories, and going to trade shows and we're planning on going to CES, Consumer Electronics Show in January in Vegas. It's finding what are we going to offer to our customers next that no one's even heard of. And when they see it, they go crazy. I didn't really, I don't remember the part about me putting visionary out there and then feeling the pushback on that. It wasn't a term I would ever have used before. EOS is very clear. Someone has to be in charge of where we're going, and it usually is the CEO. And I love my relationship with John Doyle, who is my integrator. There's a book called Rocket Fuel. Who's the author of that? That's John on the right. Who's the author of Rocket Fuel?
So Rocket Fuel is René Deboer. I think it's René Deboer. Or is that How to Be and oh God, now look at me. You've just
anyway.
Put me
so
on
when
the
I
spot.
read that book, I literally thought
me.
that the author of Rocket Fuel was literally following John and I around. It was so amazing how they depicted the ideal relationship between the visionary who is looking to where the company is going and the integrator, who is usually a COO, and in John's case, he's the chief of staff and general manager. They are in charge of the day-to-day, making sure your vision gets implemented. I love how that all works. It's a great.
Yeah, please forgive me. Obviously, the one co-author is Gino Wickman.
I thought so. Yeah, he's the founder of EOS, right?
I mean, when in doubt, just say Gino wrote the book. But Mark C. Winters, Mark, forgive me, my friend. That
I threw you off on that one.
You know what? Part of this goal is we're not perfect, right? And we make mistakes, and we're open and honest, and we admit them as well. In fact,
that sounds like EOS.
Well, in fact,
healthy conflict.
There is a story when I made my way out to Reading to the global headquarters of CCI Voice for my very first 90-minute meeting, which lasted 3 hours, by the way to time manage, Joseph Jaffe. And I'm at their global headquarters, which may or may not have been a garage, an office above your garage. And you turn around to me and say, "So, Joe, how many other clients do you have?" To which I go, and I remember you look at me and you go, "It's okay to say you don't have any clients." And I remember just going like this, "Ugh, I don't have any clients." And you go, "So we'll be the first."
We were so excited, and I cannot. I'm still pinching myself. There's no way. I couldn't imagine you had no clients when you could already recite everything about EOS in your brain. You must have a photographic memory because you have it all down. It's amazing, and you put passion behind it. It's not just reciting. You find the right thing to say exactly the right time to get us back on track when our team happens to stray, which of course never happens.
Yeah, well, that's the little squirrel, little toy that we have that gets thrown around the room. Let's go back now, Michael, and talk about your entrepreneurial story, your journey specifically, and just walk us through, because I mean, you've gone from literally the brink, you've gone from extremes to other extremes. The law of attraction finds its way into your story. But I would love for you to take a few moments and walk everyone through your unique entrepreneurial journey and pause, momentarily and talk about the pivots, the moments of truth. Now, when you look back and recognize how important they were in terms of shaping who you are today and ultimately where you are today.
Sure thing. I was working, excuse me, I was working at a software company. I was a senior software consultant. It became part of Oracle eventually. And I loved the work I was doing, but it wasn't satisfying. I wanted to do my own thing. I had clients nights and weekends for a long time. From even during college, I was doing computer consulting nights and weekends or all the time. So finally in 93, I quit I made my avocation become my vocation doing IT as a full-time company. And it was LeBlanc Communications Group, originally LeBlanc Consulting, and then became Communications Group later. And I really had a good time working out of my condo, making killer money. I had 4 large clients, including GE Capital and MCI. And one of the clients I had was a radio group, a bunch of radio stations. And after 6 months, I found out when the jobs all kind of wound down for the most part, I found out what it meant to go do marketing, join the Chamber of Commerce, and get my ass out there and find business, because I was going to go hungry if I didn't. That was my first lesson. You can't just keep working and not market yourself. That went well. I eventually opened an office. I hired my first employee in the second year, and then I kept hiring more after that and built a company that went really well. It was growing. And then we were in the first year of business, I had to get a phone system for my fledgling company because we had to have people call us. And I went on CompuServe, which was a thing before the internet. Some of you older folks will know that. I found the ideal product. And then because I liked it so much, we decided to sell that product. It was a Panasonic phone system. So then we became phone people at that point. And everything was going well. We were doing phones and computers. And in 1998, the first phone system on a network where you plug the phone into a computer network, that one was exciting, and that became our focus. Was those computer-based phones. Everything was going great, except that we weren't really building residual revenue the way that folks should in a business. That's one of the lessons I learned. And after the Y2K boom, which was a boom for us selling things before the Y2K, the year 2000 happened, and all that potential tragedy, we ended up, there was a downturn, there was a recession in 2001, and we weren't prepared for that. And suddenly no one was buying anything, and our residual revenue was pretty low. We didn't have a lot of it except some consulting. So I learned my lesson. We practically went bankrupt. I remember being on Cape Cod with my wife's family and my father-in-law, who is a serial entrepreneur, incredibly wonderful man. Rest in peace, Steve. He gave me such great advice, and Lisa's aunt as well, who was a banker. I was doing a few things wrong. Of course, I had no residual revenue to speak of, which is horrible. We basically ate what we killed, and as that goes. But also our margins were very low. We were maybe 25% gross margins on the products that we sold, which, if you know how to run a business, is not really enough to support you. Those two things had to change. So we laid off more than half of our staff. And I've never had a worse time in my business career as that moment. It was telling everyone that they were no longer going to be working here, except a handful of people, was terrible. We had 11 full-time and 3 part-time at that time. So, hey, you know what? Emotions come into play, but you have to do what you have to do. We survived, we built back, and then we built a lot of residual revenue over the years, and to the point where in 2015, we became a phone company having our own hosted phone service, which has been so transformational. And we love serving customers and not relying on the other carriers to do their damn job. We were the carrier, and finally we could provide reliable service that the other carriers that we would recommend did not. It changed everything for us.
So, by the way, you'll notice above that side of the virtual studio is your logo. So you're now the official sponsor of this episode, and over there in the corner is actually, it should be a QR code that takes people to CCI Voice.
That's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, just a little.
I see a duck on there.
Yeah, the duck is the StreamYard duck. I assume if I pay them a little bit more money, I can put something else inside. But it's pretty cool. So you talk about you essentially what you're talking about is what we call a tool called cash flow drivers, which is actually being financially savvy enough to understand all the different levers. If we increase this, if we decrease that, and the funny thing is, like, no one taught me as an entrepreneur, when I started my first company, that the money, money in and out, it's like calories, right? That the money coming in had to be greater than the money going out. No one taught me.
It's a good analogy.
I know it sounds stupid as well, but of course, what I'm referring to is cash flow. And when your clients pay in 60 and 90 and 120 days, but ultimately you're paying your debtors immediately, somehow you run out of money very, very quickly. And the next thing you know, you're out of business.
That's true.
So, I mean, all right. So let's talk a little bit about EOS. How does EOS come into your life?
So I've been in a lot of groups that I really enjoyed. My favorite thing, besides closing that big creative, profitable deal for a customer that makes them so happy, aside from that favorite thing in business, my other favorite is doing best practice sharing with my peers, whether it be in an industry group that is all telecom related, or folks in any walk of life that happen to be other CEOs like me. So I joined a group called Vistage. Maybe it's now been at least 4 years ago. And Vistage is the #1 largest CEO peer group in the country. We meet once a month with each other, and we also have a private coaching with our coach in that group. And it seemed like almost every conversation, there were about 10 or 11 or 12 members. I think 4 or 5 of our members were all talking about EOS all the time, Entrepreneurial Operating System. I kept hearing about it, and they were just saying how it was transformational for their businesses. So I got in. I decided I had to research it. That's how I found you, and it really was quite revealing to see the things I didn't know about how to run a business. Visage was helpful because I got great advice from my peers, but it didn't change anything in my business. Didn't change much versus EOS, which was structurally, it's an operating system to run your business better. I didn't know that until I was introduced to the concept.
You said something earlier to me, and it really actually, it struck me and it stuck with me, Michael. You said the structure, I think your words were, the structure allows me to slow down. I actually thought that was very, very eloquent and poetic. Tell me more about that.
Well, my superpower as an ADHD gifted person does not usually bring about the structure I need. I'm more about, ooh, shiny, there's a squirrel over there. That's one of my challenges. And I've always dismissed structure, dismissed systems as, yeah, we'll get there eventually. My leadership team, though, brings different skills to the table. And EOS gave us a way to exploit and to enjoy those differences so that we created, finally, as opposed to having a flat organization where I'm the CEO and everyone's under me, which is how it always used to be. Now I've got a chief of staff, general manager, and underneath of John, I've got a COO, Beth, who is incredible. She's been with me for a long, long time. Julia, my controller. We are still in the as you know, in the process of potentially finding a head of sales that I'm currently doing as well as John. But that structure and having regular once a week meetings for 90 minutes that you do not miss unless you're in the hospital or once in a while having vacation. Other than that, we don't miss our meetings. We have something called rocks, which is those major things that we have to accomplish as a company to reach our goals, as opposed to the things that come at you every day that you always get distracted by. Having the structure of EOS has really made a difference. And we've also rolled down that structure to each of the departments and all of our employees. It gives them a voice. It holds them accountable. The things that they promise they're going to do, we check with them every week to make sure they are working on those things. All of that comes into play that before I had any of this, boy, that was not in my wheelhouse at all. So it's been great. It's been grateful. It's been great for someone like me who doesn't have structure by nature to make my company run more smoothly and more reliably.
So slowing down to speed up is essentially this idea. When we do our our quarterly planning sessions, I guess that's when you take a breath, because you need to breathe. We all need to breathe sometimes when we feel like we're on that hamster wheel or that treadmill, etc. Does that kind of, it feels more peaceful when you talk and you say that. That's what I'm picking up, is that there's like, life can be manic and life can be almost relentless, but it's the ability to just pause, reflect, introspect, breathe. That's kind of like a missing link.
What's interesting for me is the fact that we have these, either the 90-minute meeting or the all-day meetings or 2-day meetings, and our phones are quiet. No one is bothering us. Our team takes care of things. We can get away and not have any distractions, phones off, for a day or 2 days at a time or 90 minutes at a time, and the world doesn't come to an end and things work fine. And our team understands they have to take charge and deal with things as they come along. It's okay to get away and plan your future. It's really been great.
Now, one of the things that springs to mind when you talk about that the world continues to spin and life goes on is also the power of vacation and the power of taking away. In fact, the only two reasons to miss a level 10 meeting is death, as in yours. You said the hospital. I'm much more final about it. Or vacation. It always struck me as kind of being a bit weird. Like, why those two things? There must be other things. What about a big client meeting? There's got to be something else going on. Talk a little bit about how you've navigated vacations, and this is going to lead to this idea of being in the office versus zooming in, or whatever the case may be, and how you found balance and in your life.
Well, vacations are one example of what we call in EOS a clarity break. And a clarity break can be taking a walk around the block. It can be just getting away, being able to process and think and not be distracted. And my wife and I love to go skiing and to go places to play golf. And I reconnect with her. That's our chance to get our own clarity break as a couple and keep our relationship strong. And I love to do that. What else were you asking me about?
I was saying just in terms of balancing vacations.
Oh yeah, actually return to home, return to the office. So we were a work from home company forever. We often would allow work from home for our employees since 2005. we built the office over our garage because we had 4 kids under 4 at one point, and I was traveling 45 minutes to an office and then back again. And I was being a very unhelpful husband and father, shall we say. So we built an office over our garage in 2005, and I paid my wife rent instead of paying a landlord rent. So for 20 years, it was a really wonderful thing to do. And my employees all worked from home as well. And then when COVID came along and suddenly work from home was a big deal, we're like, yeah, who cares? We've been doing it forever. And we enabled all of our customers to enjoy that as well, and to have that productivity. And then now I think there's a feeling of the disconnectedness and the difficulty in maintaining good culture in a company when there isn't any face time. So we built an office. We just constructed an office in this past July at 70 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, and I love the place. It's so exciting to be here. I'm coming into the office almost every day, and my team has never been so energized as they are when we come together. And not everyone comes here. It's only a handful of us, but once in a while we get a bunch coming in. Those days are extremely special. So for me, the balance is, don't forget that we are friends almost at work. Like, we have to have a personal relationship with each other. And it's hard to do that over a video screen. Remember to get together and do things as a company together, not just always on a screen like this.
I love that. And, I'm going to give you the first air horn.
That's good.
Like, where did that come from? But, this idea of earning, I've had so many people on my show that have spoken about this, all these thoughts in my head. One person said, you have to earn the commute. You have to earn your employees' commute. And what they meant by that, it really was an amazing insight, is that if someone is commuting an hour to the office, an hour back home, make sure that their work experience it's an experience. They're not arriving and sitting in a cube like a rat, basically, and all these meetings are droning on and they're not productive. And that's why, think about how we start our meetings with good news, the segue, right? Personal and professional good news. We end the meetings rating the meeting, which is accountability for your meetings. So if you can make the time in the office worthwhile and experience, you've earned the commute. The other insight, Michael, is this idea that if you think about how Zooms and Google Meets and Teams work, the minute the meeting ends, everyone they're off, right? They just disconnect. There's no schmoozing. There's no telling jokes. There's no like little sidebar conversations. It's right. A real problem that we've just eliminated all of that water cooler stuff in a virtual environment.
Yeah, exactly. And we have the opportunity, I guess. Maybe it's a challenge. Maybe it's an opportunity that now, because of our growth and the 2 acquisitions that we have a Long Island office and we have a South Windsor office. So we have 35 people now across 3 locations, and that brings opportunity as we go mutually intervisit between our offices and make sure we stay connected. But it also brings diversity. Rather than just be one place, we have 3 places we can go. It's been wonderful for our staff to be able to go visit each other.
And one of the important things as well. See, I've got so many surprises here. Can you believe a team of 25 are actually putting this together as well? That's why, I don't know where to put my hands.
You have a Cracker Jack team there. Good job.
It feels like I bought them in a box of Cracker Jacks. Never mind. But one of the tools as well that we talk about is this idea of trust builders, and that's why it's so important, to connect and do at least one team building activity with your leadership team or with your team at least once a quarter. Mm-hmm. It's funny, right? We talk about the 90-day world, these quarters, but it's funny how quickly 90 days can go by, and you haven't been able to do all these things. That's why we have the structure, right?
That's important. I agree.
All right. So I have no idea how to segue into this, but I just thought it would be real fun, which is, hey, Michael, tell us about your coach. Oh, wait a second. I'm just going to go into the voice of God and just remember, if you do not say nice things about me right now, I will end this broadcast.
And I will no longer be your favorite client, of course.
You know what? You'll be at least my second favorite. But yeah, tell us about your coach.
So I'm grateful. If I haven't told you that lately, I try to tell you that all the time. I like the fact that your background is marketing, that you ran multiple advertising agencies in your past, because it gives you a perspective that we don't always have. Marketing is a challenging field that we have to always be thinking about. You are so unpredictable. At the same time, you have the structure of EOS behind you, so you make it fun. And I'm really grateful that we can't, as a company, always be able to see where we are falling down. Our own leadership team might not see, maybe there's an interplay between us that's causing a conflict that's unnecessary. Maybe we're not reaching the goals that we have promised to. And sometimes it takes a third party outsider to be able to bring us to the table, expose whatever it is that is a weakness. Maybe it's an opportunity. That's where you've come in for us, as being incredibly helpful to show us the direction. It's almost like you're the visionary of visionaries. You're helping us to see, as a company, what the future can look like, because of all your vast experience with all your other clients, which, by the way, you do have a lot now. You have at least 12 or 13 or 14, I think, now. So we were the first, but it doesn't mean that you've been sitting still. So all that experience, which you've gained quickly over the last 2+ years, really has been beneficial to us. And I'm really grateful for what you've done to make our company better. We were a $2 million company with 8 employees 5+ years ago. Now we're probably hitting about 8 million with 35 and growing. We'll hit 12 million in the next 2 years, and maybe 15. And we're growing. A lot of that is because of EOS. That's a key factor. We're growing because of our structure. So thank you for that.
I love it. Just the crowds are going mad. It's just and I've been gonged out.
Good
That's
job.
what happens. You know, we had no. Thank you. The most important thing is results. You know, the system works, and it works as long as you work it. As long as you work, and are committed. And just seeing your growth as well has been amazing. And we've been through this together. I remember meeting at the Hi-Ho. Wasn't the motel. I mean, that's another story for another day. No, we went to Barcelona, and 15 minutes into the meeting, you're nowhere to be found, like a true visionary. And I text you, I go, Michael, where are you? And you go, oh, was it today? Basically. In fact,
honestly,
your text was, I'll be there. I'll be there in 15, as well.
And I was.
And you were. We really have. We've grown together. And we've grown each other. You put me on in that meeting to the law of attraction, which, of course, me being a low follow through, I've forgotten to update the app, etc. But it was nice while it lasted. We would just send each other things every now and then. In fact, you sent me one recently as well.
It's part of the reason for your success. I've seen you grow incredibly because of that. Focusing your energy and your vision in the right direction makes a big difference.
Well, you know, when you said visionary for visionaries, I mean, it's like we all, and every coach needs a coach, and ultimately every teacher, the great students are teachers, the great teachers are students as well. You noted this as well, and I really loved it. And you said the transition from an ADHD afflicted micromanager to visionary delegator and collaborative leader. My first thoughts looking at this is, I'll be the judge of that.
You're in the catbird seat to see such a thing.
Well, no, it was almost like to say, wait a second, which one is the before and which one is the after? But I loved it. And this idea of, accepting the role, right? Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to be a visionary and not be on top of and micromanaging and letting go, which is the delegation as well. It's really interesting to see all of the self-reflection as well.
I appreciate that. I was very much deep in the weeds and unable to see big picture, and a micromanager back in the day. I was not a leader at all. The difference, part of it is EOS, part of it's maturity, part of it is realizing that what I was doing wasn't working. I'm a very smart person because of all the mistakes I've made. I've learned
Mm.
so much the hard way. I wish I could have learned the easier way. It doesn't work that way for me. I learn the hard way every time, and I get wise because of it. But I have lots of scars to show for it. In my business, I'm wise enough to know that if I micromanage things and don't delegate, A, they don't get done, B, they don't get done right. I trust my leaders and I trust my staff to do things their way, which is often better than I would ever have dreamed. I just got to give them a chance. And sure enough, look what happens. That's been the thing that's probably most transformative in my business life to be a successful company, is getting the heck out of the way. Find good people first, then get the heck out of their way. That's probably my number one thing I've done right. But it's taken a long time to learn that skill and that way of doing business.
It's so powerful. And, as you said that, I was thinking, but Michael, you said, I wish I could have learned the easier way. And I'm talking now just as someone listening to you, but also as your coach. I don't think you would have learned had it been the easier way. That's the whole point, right? You don't learn the easy way. Learning does not come from the easy way because there's complacency and you take it for granted. So as much as we all wish we could learn it without making those mistakes and without the battle scars, you don't learn from that. You only learn from triangulating and being able to kind of, push off against the stuff that didn't work.
And I'll push back on you just a minute. So I'm going to be very right back at you. When you were after you had a handful of clients, maybe you had 6 or 7 clients, and you got wooed by another company who really wanted you to be their CMO, and I think you lost your way for a little while, and finally realized that EOS was your way, and you came back, and you're going even stronger than ever. The law of attraction had to have something to do with that,
and core focus as well.
Core focus, yeah. And I've never seen you so on fire as you are now. So you've really realized that this is your future. Being the coach of so many successful companies is definitely your future. So thank you for keeping track.
You're welcome. And by the way, no, you're welcome because you put me on this track. That's why this is I'm so glad that I'm sharing this with you today for the first time, because this idea of, this is actually part of the EOS verbiage, the run a better business so you can live a better life. I just internalize it because this is my why. The why is ultimately the helping, right? Because you can be helping, fixing, winning, or building. And my happiness studies has also just given me this renewed joy and curiosity and thirst. But this is what it comes down to: helping change entrepreneurs' lives through content, creativity, and coaching. And you know what, Michael? The funny thing is, all the signs are around us, but are we paying attention? I wrote a book called Built to Suck: The Inevitable Demise of the Corporation and How to Save It. It's not that I hate the corporation. It's just that I hate the corporation. No, I just hate the fat cats and the laziness and the bureaucrats and the inertia and the politics, and the fact that ultimately the backbone of our country, of this economy, is you and people like you. It's small and medium business owners. So why would I give my time and attention to anyone but the entrepreneur?
I love it. That's what it's all about. We are the backbone of our country. I love it.
It really is true. Talk a little bit about, just in the time we have left, I would love to, I would love to hear about ultimately now, like what you're focused on and what you're doing. And ultimately, it's not even just talking about your offerings. It's ultimately about being able to kind of recognize how you are going to market, how you're adapting to change and technology, and what the future looks like for CCI Voice.
Thank you. Well, one of the things that we have to get the word out about is that we have the only no bid, no RFP phone service for towns and schools and libraries in the state of Connecticut. The only one. And we have it through the Capital Region Council of Governments, and every council of government, every area in Connecticut. There's no county government in Connecticut, so they have the Council of Governments instead. All of them have that, and it's really wonderful. And it's kind of we have embarrassingly low prices. There's what we charge the customers, so they should want that. And we've had that since 2015. That's really a wonderful thing to offer. So we have to market that more because not everyone knows about it. But really, what keeps me excited the most is the change in our technologies. You know, we're a phone company, of course. But we're not just talk. That's part of our slogan. And the video surveillance world with AI is changing so fast. You know, there was an unpublished story about a major presidential candidate. I won't need to say which one it is, at a crypto rally in Nashville during the campaign in 2024, and there was a threat on the floor in that large building that was a credible threat. And the same software that we provide to governments and large businesses to do AI searching on cameras live for something was able to be used to find that perpetrator within 7 minutes and neutralize that threat because of the color of their clothing and things like that, capturing an image and saying, where is this person right now? And they were able to show the path of the person on every camera, where they were going, where they were right now, and go and nab that guy and get rid of that threat. That's the kind of technology we offer today. We even have the ability of having live guards watch valuable property on camera in case there's any motion, and then tell them to leave right away with with a speaker, and then calling the police. And it's just the technology is amazing. You know, being able to integrate cameras with access control to get in your building and see who's keying in with their phone or with their key fobs to see if it's the right person with that credential. Those are all the things that we're really getting busy on. And a lot of the technology that towns and schools and libraries and businesses have today is so outdated. The cameras, especially, they're probably 5, 6, 10 years old. You can't see someone's face or license plates with that. And today we can actually have license plate readers to track everyone that's come into our property if that's what the customer needs to do. That's exciting. It's a lot of fun.
So you alluded to to some of these old antiquated systems, but now we have this beautiful juxtaposition with respect to new tech and specifically AI, and I think, if I may say so, what you're doing is marrying the best of the old with the best of the new, and so being able to find that balance. Talk a little bit about actually the role that AI is playing in some of this new tech.
So it's making our life a lot easier. Of course, marketing, it's been a dream. Legal contracts, I drew up an NDA the other day that took me 2 minutes. I made a few changes and then I sent it off. All that is just a time saver. But in the world of what we do for phones, we have a phone service. In our phone service now, we have the ability of recording phone calls and then getting a text translation of the call, and then an AI summary of what was said in the call, good or bad, including warning the managers in the call center, shall we say, that customer was not happy. It's called sentiment analysis. Those are all things that we can do with technology today on the phone side. And on the camera side, of course, we can, it may take, police officers often on a forensic investigation of a crime, the frustration you see on a police officer's face of having to search through hours and hours of video, taking him hours or her hours to go through video to find an incident, versus show me a red car license plate that had AX in it, or show me someone wearing blue and orange that was in the building. It's seconds to find things as opposed to minutes or hours to search for things. And you can actually be notified. One of our housing authorities had a drug dealer in their property, and they always wanted to get rid of that person. Because of our new technology, they were able to get enough data to actually take that person to court, and now they're being evicted, hopefully in the near future. Technology makes a big difference for folks if you use it right.
It's been wonderful to watch you on this journey, finding this balance, and being able to adapt and evolve. Because at the end of the day, if we're not adapting and evolving, we're standing still. And if we're stagnant and standing still, we are basically falling backwards.
That's
as
right.
well. Michael, I got two more questions to ask you. One is, this is a very difficult one just to ask it after 59 minutes. But I see, it's just something that jumped into my, scatterbrain head. I see all these companies laying off thousands, tens of thousands of employees right now. The latest round, Amazon, all of these big tech companies, all of these behemoths in favor of automation and AI. And something's going to give, something has to give eventually, because there's just no way that these jobs are going to be replaced. Here you are, the second or third go round, determined never to lay off people if you can help it, actually creating jobs by growing. What are your thoughts just in terms of where things are heading and how we find the balance? It's not a small question, but it's just on my mind.
Sure thing.
What can small business, small medium businesses do to kind of counter this awful trend of replacing human beings with machines?
Well, we just won the Inc. 5000 Fastest Growing Companies Award for 2024, and it's because of, it's mostly measuring revenue. So it's just simple numbers. But the reason why we're successful is we are local. There are a lot of national companies doing what we do. They cannot run wires in someone's building. They can't mount cameras. They can't be there to come on site and physically train people face to face. That's what's missing a lot in our industry today, is people are resorting to screens and electronic ways of doing support and delivering their service. Being face to face and delivering real people, real support, that is really what matters today. And it's being lost in the technology world, thinking people don't have to do that anymore, but they do have to do that. You need to be there for your customers and deliver real service in person if needed, because that's what keeps people coming back. That's been our secret to success.
That was so funny because that, like, literally, I mean, you totally smashed, you totally smashed that. That was brilliant. I mean,
let's slow down. We don't have to slow down.
No, I mean, I was so interested. It was a question, and you actually nailed it. I mean, like, it was great. I loved it. I loved it because it's true, and it's from the heart, as we often say. It's kind of like, even when we come up with core values, etc., it's from the heart, ultimately. But that's exactly right. In fact, some famous people actually acknowledged that that Inc. Fastest Growing Award.
Today, I want to extend my congratulations to the men and women of CCI Voice. You have been named among the 5,000 fastest growing companies in the United States of America.
It is with great pleasure that I commend CCI Voice, a company of remarkable diligence and vision here in Connecticut. Their dedication to clarity in communication and
I literally did. I did that in real time. I did not even expect to do that, but that just shows
nice
you how damn good I am. All right, Michael, at this point, if anyone's still watching, they're basically drinking with us. Not to say we've been drinking or anything, because we do.
The Kool-Aid, yes.
The water. Michael, last thing from you. I want to give you the final word, but what advice would you give other entrepreneurs out there? And you and I were chatting about this even in the green room before. I almost feel sad sometimes when I talk to entrepreneurs and they don't have the time. They don't have the time to slow down. They don't have the time to even take a 90-minute meeting, because they're moving so fast, and they don't believe they deserve it. They don't believe that they actually deserve to have a moment to put the phones down. Everything you said today, like, I hear it in you and I see the peace. So what advice do you give them?
Number one, find a friend in business. Share best practice sharing with your peers. Get together with folks that are either in your industry or other business owners. And there's help in numbers, number one. Number two, find some structure. Get a coach. Like, any kind of coach is better than no coach. But having the structure of EOS would be a great way to grow the business. It's not for everyone, but for the right size company and the right type of company, or just anyone that really wants to get themselves better structured, it's a great way to run your company. It's an operating system that really has paid dividends for us.
That's perfect. Well, Michael, last word, I guess, is yours. Anything, just a last thought from you? Otherwise, I wish you a spectacular rest of your year, 2026?
I told you before we hung up, I was going to show this thing. This is a sleeping aid that I started taking. It's valerian root, which is awesome. It's natural, and sleep is so important. And it's one of the things that I was lacking being an entrepreneur. I've been taking this stuff. It's called Botanical Sleep Blend. It's all natural. It's not like taking melatonin even. It's even less than that. It's not like taking Ambien. Getting good sleep, drinking lots of water, and getting exercise, that's been wonderful. So I would recommend that your folks think about sleeping better. Then they can think better about their company.
All right. We had it all from valerian roots to JFK's to Queen Elizabeth to law of attraction to, is there anything that we missed? This has been fun. And you know what? Life is too short to work with people that you don't like, you don't trust, and you don't respect. 3 for 3 with you, Miguel LeBlanco. And
thank you.
I will see you soon in session. This has been another episode of The Entrepreneur's Journey. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Today on a spook. Oh, that was the wrong one. What I meant was this. See, I made a mistake right at the end. What I meant was this.
We're the ones who dare to dream. We won't let anyone hold us back. We'll take the road, let's travel by and build our empire piece by piece. We've got our dreams and we've got a plan. We're not afraid to take a stand. We'll face the risks and embrace the fear, cause we know that success is near. There will be times when we'll fall down, but we'll get up and turn it around. We're entrepreneurs, we're not afraid to lose. We'll keep moving forward, we got nothing to prove.